In the early 17th century, Central Europe was consumed by one of the most chaotic monetary collapses in human history. This dramatic financial crisis is remembered in economic history as the Kipper, Wipperzeit. The German words translate literally to clipping and weighing, describing the ruthless methods used to debase money. The catastrophic crisis erupted against the background of the 30 Years' War, which began in 1618. As Catholic and Protestant alliances mobilized vast mercenary armies across the Holy Roman Empire, war costs exploded. Equipping, feeding, and paying tens of thousands of soldiers demanded unprecedented quantities of pure silver coin. However, traditional tax revenues and feudal dues were completely exhausted by the sudden outbreak of war. Realizing their state coffers were empty, greedy German dukes, electors, bishops, and local princes devised a secret plan. Rather than raising taxes visibly, regional rulers decided to secretly debase the national silver currency. Princes granted special minting franchises to private merchant syndicates, financiers, and unscrupulous mint masters. These private mint operators were authorized to gather heavy, pure silver coins circulating among the public. Using giant shears and precision balances, mint workers clipped the edges off pure silver coins to steal raw metal. Next, the stolen silver shavings were melted down in secret foundries and alloyed with massive amounts of cheap copper. New coins were struck using official dies, so they bore the exact face value of legitimate imperial money. However, these freshly minted coins contained only a microscopic fraction of genuine silver metal. To deceive the public, mint workers boiled the copper coins in chemical baths to give them a temporary silver shine. Yet after only a few days of handling in market stalls, the silver wash wore off, exposing cheap red copper beneath. Citizens mockingly named these debased coins Kippergeld, or clipped money, in street slang. To maximize profits, rulers established illegal mobile mints known as Kipperstoet or hedge mints. Hedge mints operated day and night along border roads, stamping out millions of debased copper coins. Mint operators used debased coins to buy up heavy, high-grade silver coins from neighboring foreign territories. This predatory arbitrage drained genuine silver out of circulation, replacing it entirely with worthless copper. Gresham's law operated with terrifying efficiency. Bad money completely drove good money out of the economy. Fearing total loss of wealth, citizens buried their pure silver coins underground or melted them into silverware. By 1621, the relentless flood of debased money triggered severe hyperinflation across the entire Holy Roman Empire. Prices for basic everyday necessities like bread, wheat, meat, and firewood rose by thousands of %. A single bushel of rye that cost 1 thaler in 1618 cost over 100 debased thalers by late 1622. Peasants, urban craft guilds, day laborers, and soldiers saw their real purchasing power destroyed in months. Mercenary soldiers flatly refused to fight unless paid in pure, unclipped silver coins from foreign realms. As trade collapsed and starvation spread, violent civil unrest erupted in major commercial centers like Leipzig. Furious mobs stormed private mint houses, lynched corrupt mint masters, and burned down royal exchange buildings. Satirical pamphleteers printed hundreds of cartoon woodcuts mocking greedy princes and dishonest bankers. Popular songs and poems warned merchants never to accept the worthless red copper coins under any circumstances. Recognizing that public rebellion threatened royal authority, regional rulers finally panicked in early 1623. A broad coalition of imperial states issued emergency decrees declaring all debased Kipper money completely void. Governments ordered the immediate shutdown and demolition of all illegal hedge mints across the realm. Regional currencies were revalued back to the strict silver purity standards established by the Imperial Diet of 1559. Millions of confiscated copper coins were melted down and repurposed to cast industrial bronze artillery. Although currency stability was restored, the economic destruction inflicted upon Central Europe was severe. The accumulated savings of the middle class were wiped out, leaving thousands of merchant families ruined. This catastrophic monetary collapse deepened the horrors of the 30 Years' War, which raged until 1648. The Kipper, Wipperzeit, remains one of history's most striking examples of state-sponsored hyperinflation. It demonstrated conclusively that when governments manipulate currency to cover unpayable debt, society suffers. Furthermore, the crisis highlighted the critical role of sound money in maintaining social and economic stability. When trust in a medium of exchange breaks down, commerce halts, social contracts fracture, and chaos follows. Modern central bankers and economists still study the Kipper, Wipperzeit, as a cautionary monetary tale. The episode shows that currency debasement is effectively a hidden tax that impoverishes the working population. Whenever paper or digital currency is printed without backing, the underlying economic mechanics remain identical. The historical lesson of 1621 is clear. Real wealth cannot be created by decree or debasement. Disclaimer: this video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute financial or investment advice. Chronicle explores the historical events, economic collapses, and financial schemes that shaped our world. To comprehend how deeply this crisis crippled Europe, one must examine the specific mechanics of regional feudal minting. Within the Holy Roman Empire, more than 300 individual princes, dukes, counts, and abbot lords held sovereign minting rights. Each feudal jurisdiction issued its own distinct coins, bearing unique heraldic coats of arms, Latin inscriptions, and royal portraits. Despite this fragmentation, interstate commerce required a reliable, standardized medium of exchange accepted by all trading partners. That standard was set by the Imperial Diet of 1559, which established the Reichsthaler as the official benchmark currency. The Reichsthaler was prized across Europe for its exact weight and high silver purity of nearly 89%. For over half a century, international merchants in Nuremberg, Augsburg, Cologne, and Hamburg conducted global business in silver thalers. However, when war broke out between the Protestant Union and Catholic League in 1618, military expenditures spiraled beyond control. Mercenary armies commanded by figures like Wallenstein and Tilly required hundreds of thousands of silver thalers every single month. When princes ran out of cash to pay troops, mercenary regiments threatened mutiny, pillage, and destruction of royal palaces. Desperate for immediate revenue, rulers realized that raising formal taxes took months and risked armed peasant rebellions. Consequently, princes turned to a covert form of taxation, systematic currency debasement through licensed mint syndicates. Princes invited private financiers, wealthy merchants, and court bankers into secret agreements authorizing debased minting. In exchange for upfront cash loans, princes granted financiers total control over state mint facilities and regional coin distribution. These private mint syndicates set up clandestine workshops along major trade routes, known historically as hedge mints. Hedge mints operated in secrecy, melting down good imperial silver coins gathered from merchants, markets, and churches. Workers mixed a small amount of silver with massive quantities of base copper, lead, and tin to maximize coin output. To make these copper tokens look like real silver, mint workers bathed them in corrosive silver nitrate chemical solutions. When fresh out of the chemical wash, the debased coins gleamed like pure silver, fooling illiterate townspeople and farmers. However, within days of entering market circulation, the thin silver coating wore off, exposing dull red copper underneath. Angry market vendors nicknamed these deceptive copper tokens Kippergeld, which translates to clipped or tipped money. Mint operators used special tipping balances called Wippen to sort heavy silver coins from lighter, debased coins. Heavier coins were immediately thrown into smelting pots, while lighter debased coins were pushed back into public circulation. This predatory monetary practice gave the historical period its famous name, the Kipper, Wipperzeit. As millions of debased copper coins flooded Central Europe, Gresham's law took hold with terrifying financial force. Good silver coins completely vanished from open markets as citizens hid their silver wealth underground or in walls. Peasants refused to sell grain, livestock, or vegetables in town markets unless buyers paid in genuine, unclipped silver thalers. Food supplies in major cities dwindled, causing prices for basic groceries to surge by several thousand%. A single loaf of bread that cost 2 groschen in 1618 reached over 100 debased groschen by the autumn of 1622. Craftsmen, weavers, blacksmiths, and day laborers saw their fixed wages rendered completely valueless within weeks. Even mercenary soldiers began refusing payment in debased copper money, demanding pure foreign silver before battle. As social order broke down, violent bread riots erupted in major urban centers, including Leipzig, Frankfurt, and Magdeburg. Outraged mobs attacked private mint houses, dragged corrupt mint masters into street squares, and burned tax offices. Satirical printers produced thousands of illustrated broadsheets depicting mint operators being weighed on scales by demons. Seeing that monetary chaos threatened total revolution, regional princes finally agreed to imperial intervention in 1623. Joint imperial treaties declared all debased Kipper money completely illegal, null, and void for debt settlement. Governments dispatched armed guards to dismantle illegal hedge mints and confiscate coining equipment nationwide. Millions of confiscated copper coins were seized, melted down, and recast into bronze field cannons for military defense. Monetary standards were re-anchored to the pure silver Reichsthaler standard of 1559, restoring financial stability. However, the economic fallout of the Kipper, Wipperzeit, inflicted lasting damage on Central Europe for decades. The middle class lost its lifetime savings, merchant houses closed, and trade networks took over half a century to recover. The monetary crisis intensified the devastation of the 30 Years' War, which dragged on until the Peace of Westphalia in 1648. Modern financial historians regard the Kipper, Wipperzeit, as one of history's earliest recorded hyperinflations. It serves as a timeless reminder that debasing currency to fund government debt destroys economic trust and impoverishes society. Let us examine how individual social classes across the Holy Roman Empire experienced this catastrophic currency collapse. The nobility and high aristocracy initially profited by paying off massive mortgage debts using debased copper coins. However, landowning aristocrats soon found that peasants could no longer pay real agricultural tithes in bad money. Rural farmers and agricultural tenants suffered immense hardship as food prices surged beyond reach. Peasants who brought wheat, cattle, and wool to town markets discovered that merchants refused debased copper tokens. If a farmer accepted copper coins, the value of those coins shrank by 50% before he reached home. Consequently, farmers ceased bringing produce to urban markets, creating acute food shortages in major cities. In urban centers like Cologne, Frankfurt, and Strasbourg, food prices multiplied by 10 within a few months. Urban craft guilds, including weavers, tailors, shoemakers, and blacksmiths, saw their traditional trade networks disintegrate. Master craftsmen could not purchase raw iron, wool, or leather because international suppliers demanded pure silver thalers. Without raw materials, workshops closed down, leaving thousands of skilled journeymen and apprentices unemployed. Unemployed workers gathered in city squares, demanding that municipal councils force grain merchants to lower bread prices. When city councils failed to act, bread riots broke out, with crowds looting granaries and bakeries. Another severe consequence was the collapse of credit markets and long-distance trade across Europe. For centuries, European merchants relied on bills of exchange and letters of credit to finance international shipments. When the silver content of regional coins became uncertain, international bankers in Amsterdam and Venice froze credit lines. No foreign merchant would ship timber, wine, textiles, or spices into Germany without advance payment in pure silver. This credit freeze halted cross-border trade, causing widespread bankruptcies among merchant houses in Hamburg and Nuremberg. Disclaimer: this video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute financial or investment advice.